Welcome back to LearnBC. You're here with Jared in a Master Data class. It's exciting. Master Data Management 101. We're talking about vendors today. And there's three things that we want to talk to you about. The first thing is context and rules. Get a solid context grounding of why, and it will never leave you. Okay, you get the theory, then you get the practical, and it just gives revelation. You gotta lean in. What's the trigger, the preconditions, the key principles, the procedure, step-by-step, SOPs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever it is, and we'll do a demo, and then what are the outcomes? So what if it goes wrong? What if it goes right? Now, before we get into this, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We love your support. Help us build this channel. Would love to hear from you. Email us at how@learnbc.today. Let's get started. Well, Master Data with Business Central. We talked. Please, if you're watching this and you haven't watched the first two, go back and watch the introduction and then watch video 1, SOP 1, which is about customers. I've gone into more detail in that SOP than I'm going to go into today. It ran for almost 40 minutes. And now we're going to get and speed things up because it's just rinse and repeat now, same principles. We should be moving a fair bit quicker. So today's topics covered. You've got the vendor templates and number series. You've got general and address FastTabs, the invoicing FastTab, payments and receiving FastTabs. The trigger: a new supplier is engaged by the business or an existing supplier changes their legal entity tax structure, requiring a net new master record to be created before purchase orders can be raised. So the preconditions here is 1, you got your bronze data. Okay, you've collected it. The supplier has provided their onboarding documentation. So you should have all relevant information. 2, the templates are configured. So finance or your partner has established the necessary vendor templates, being like a customer template. And 3, posting groups are established. We're ready to go, so we should be ready to just breeze straight through this. And our SOPs looks like this. The key principles and warnings, sorry. Number 1, the number is permanent to the record. So there's a key, a token that integrates between the vendor record and its transactions. Now, if you do turn around and number it, it can stun your system. If you're big and you're doing many volume transactions, it's not recommended, and would highly recommend that you take the position which is the vendor number is permanent. 2, the posting groups drive the GL. If you don't set it right, you can have problems. 3, dimensions cascade. You want to get your dimensions right so it flows through the system. But our warnings for today are as follows. Avoid miscellaneous vendors. Don't do that. Don't be that person. You know who you are. You know what you're thinking about. Don't do that. Okay. Cash account. Don't do it. It's not legit. It's not the way we should be doing it. Okay. Keep it righty-tighty all the time. The red flags are no duplicate legal entities. Don't do that. Okay. So never create a second vendor card just because a supplier has a second warehouse. It's always the same vendor. And bank account verification. Never enter vendor bank account details without following your organization's out of band verification process to prevent payment fraud. So most of our Australian customers will do 2 forms of verification. They get the onboarding documentation, which shows them this is what the vendor claims that their details are. Then they'll turn around and make 2 forms of contact to people within the organization that both have to split, validate. Or you have people like EFD Shaw, which we're a partner of, that integrates and will send the vendor the onboarding, and they will do the validation. And then when the finance team go to pay, anyway, it validates on their screen that there's no fraud. Let's kick into this procedure. All right. Number 1, click New Vendor. Apply the template. You go General FastTab, Address and Contact, Invoice FastTab, Payments and Receiving, Validate and Save. Now, that being said, with that payments and receiving, I'm going to add into that bank account details. Okay. Make sure that that's right. Get that under control. And you should be home and hosed. Let's take a look at Business Central. Okay, I'm here in BC. We're in our master data demo. I'm going to click on vendors and I have no vendors. Okay, so I have no vendors, but we're going to go into vendor templates and we're going to make sure that we've created our vendor template for domestic. So this says domestic, 30 days. That should be fine. And it's vend for our number series. We could do different numbers. We would normally create it as blocked. So block it when it gets created. Our ENA, we have Australia. All right, e-document sending profile. If you select that, make sure you have already configured e-documents for your organization. From the invoicing FastTab, we want to make sure that we've got domestic. We're going to go domestic and domestic. So that's our setups of posting setups. When we're talking about currency, we're going to do one of those. So we'll play with that. This stage, I'm going to leave everything as it is. Registration gives me the ABN details. Go further down. Payments, we're going to do 30 days. There's 30 days. EFT payment is what we do. If I click show more, it gives me the ability to partner type is a company. It's a company. Cash flow payment terms, let's do that. We didn't do that in the last one. And we want to do EFT payments, so that's cool. A payment method is bank. And receiving, we want to receive this all into our warehouse, main. And let's go, shipment method is, I'm just going to run with delivery. So we've created ourselves a bunch of stuff. I could go and create a dimension. For example, what is the type, the industry, the area, all sorts of stuff you could do with your dimensions. And what you would do is you would select that particular dimension and say it's same code, okay, or code mandatory. And it's going to turn around, and if it's not added when you onboard your vendor, it's going to fail for you. So we've got ourselves our vendor template, which is domestic. I'm going to rush through and do a foreign. All right, here it is. I've actually loaded a vendor template here with foreign, 60 days, and it's USD, and we're using that as your USD account. And so when we do that, it's going to turn around and add, I'm just going to put AED on the back of this just so you remember. And so we've got two different templates. We could add 10, 15, whatever you want, but pre-configures this so it's ready to go. Okay, we've added our vendor templates. I'm going to add two vendors now. I'm just going to hit new, domestic, and this is going to be called build dynamics. And we have the same issue that we had before. Gone and added my address details. I've got my invoicing details all set up, ready to go. I can go through my registration details. I need that ABN. So I'm going to go build. Let's get that ABN. There we go. We've got ourselves an ABN and it's registered, which is good. Payments, we've said this is all good. It all looks good, but now you'll notice there's some bank accounts missing, right? And this is all good, ready to go. Now the lead time is something that I'm going to add specifically for my vendor. So I'm going to say it takes me 5 days to get these goods. The base calendar here is Queensland because that's where they're based. I'm not doing over receipting. I'm going to go up a little bit, focus on the payment. So against the vendor code, I'm going to go vendor. Just use short menu, get rid of that. Bank accounts. I'm going to add a bank account and call this BD Bank. And in Australia, the key things for us is the 064000 and the account number over here. So that's 064000, same thing. And I've just made up a number. Now you could use your SWIFT code, your IBAN, all of your bank details. Some banks require documented banking details, as you've got here. In Australia, we don't. We just need a bank record there, and now I can actually set that, for my EFT bank details and my preferred bank. So I've got banking set up. I've got myself, my vendor. What are the other things that I've got on my vendor account? If I go into vendor, all right, going from left to right, I have my dimensions. So I would go in here and it would tell me which particular, for example, industry I was required to actually choose as a dimension. If that was code mandatory, it would already be here. If I didn't enter it, now if I've got vendor and I've got product type or area or ship from country might be a dimension. These are all things that I could have as my dimensions. As we move over, these are all about like transactional. I'm more interested in, we've got document layouts, which we talked about in the last video. This is where we can turn around and have specific layouts for your vendor. Email records, your bank details, your item references. I'm going to leave this here and cover item references in our next video, which is items. We would normally go, and so I'd go like this. I'm just going to go like, I'll show you. I'm going to go and import a picture from my desktop and load, no thanks, and I can load the logo, right? So I could do all sorts of things like that. Now we've written an extension that when you enable it, it goes to the website of the company, looks for its icon, its ISO. So here it's that little there, and it would make that the customer's icon within Business Central, which is pretty flippin' cool. Little things like that just make it such a more beautiful system. But let's go through top to tail. You have your account general FastTab, all right? You have the fields we talked about before. Who's the purchaser? It's Jared. What's the responsibility center? Very, very similar to sales. My search name, I've got my document sending if I'm using e-documents, okay? If you're using sustainability, your carbon and your responsibilities to environmental, all right, are all here. As I scroll down, I have my address details. I click show more, and it shows me that I've got the primary contact, I've got phone numbers, 1-800-365-ERP. Cool. All right. No, I don't want to worry about duplicate contacts. Invoicing, here I've got an exemption and GLN, if that's what you use. We don't in Australia, we use the ABN. We've got the foreign trade. What's the currency code? Well, this is domestic, so it's irrelevant. And as I go down further, we've got here manual application of payments. Our banking details are all filled in. If I click show more, it gives me my prepayment option. So we may require to prepay everything in advance. And what's the priority of how we're paying this vendor? So that you can prioritize these from 1 to 100. And if you're short on cash, it will actually show you your preference in the suggestion of how you pay your vendors. For receiving, which warehouse, how do we receive it? How long does it take as lead time? And what's your over receiving customization if that's what you are running? So going into the related vendor list, it's the same as the customer. We've really taken into consideration all of these aspects. There is a lot of related data when you're talking about the configuration pack for a vendor. I'm going to add one more vendor now. I'm going to do it quickly, and then I'm going to show you a USD customer. Okay, I've gone and added an offshore foreign entity here. I left the address as it is, which is fine. But what we've got is as we can see in here, the language is still the same. As we get down, the posting details have changed. The currency is USD. I scroll down further. There's no registration because it's not a local company. I filled in all of the payment details like in the previous vendor. And as I go down, I've added an additional time for the lead time. We may change the calendar to their calendar where they are so we know when they're working and when they're not. And so really what we've got there is two vendors that have been set up. Both of them trade completely differently. And when we look at the vendor config pack, we should see the data format we're requiring to use to get this job done. Here within the config packs, I've got a config pack here for vendor. We've gone and added the vendor table and then gone into functions, get related tables, and on the vendor, I've gone and pre-configured this, and you'll notice that there is only 35 fields that are available here. I'm not going to export the whole file, but I will hit export to Excel, yes, which is saved. Here is my vendor file. It's a config file, a config pack. Remembering, we do not edit the first two lines. We do not change colors. We do not change the size. We don't we don't change the layout. We keep this because it's really an XML document. And if you're stuck on what you can do with your field lengths, remember to move your mouse over the field and it will tell you how many characters you will support. But as we scroll over, I've simplified the file to 30 fields here, and you can see very similar. Payment terms are different, but there's the currency code. You can see my domestic versus foreign, and that's going to be repeated as we go over here. I can see the first one's blocked, the next isn't, so I can make that blocked just by hitting all. There's a priority on payment of vendors. Let's continue going over. There's an ABN here, which is registered versus not. I can see the bank account file. And so getting this vendor data really is the base level of where you want to get to, where you go, great, what's my ID, what's my name, what's the address details, which currency are we trading in, and is this foreign or domestic? Which currency, which language, who's the salesperson purchaser, what are the credit terms, how do we ship to them? I think I've got lead time in here as well. I included, lead time, 3 weeks versus 5 weeks, which warehouse you're coming into. And so you want to think through each of these things with your master data. That's going to help you get your data file back together, and then running it back into Business Central was shown on our introduction and on the first video with customers. So what are the exceptions and post conditions? Duplicate tax IDs, ABNs, you really should not have a duplicate ABN on the system. If you do, you'll get a warning that there's a duplicate detected. Missing posting groups will show, posting orders will fail. You will end up with an error and it won't allow you to use until you go and fix that. Currency mismatch, transactions will fail where the currency differs from the bank setup. Verify the currency code on the Invoicing FastTab. Make sure it matches what's in the bank. Post conditions, the vendor number, name are finalized and verified. Address, contact details, and tax ID are populated. All 3 mandatory posting groups are done. The payment terms and payment method are set, and the vendor record is gold. You want to make sure it's gold. So from here, let's deep dive into templates and invoicing. Why do we use a template? Speed and efficiency, error reduction, master data governance. What the posting group triad, you've got your vendor posting group, your general business posting group, and your GST or VAT business posting group. So that brings us to conclusion with the vendor card. We're going to now step into SOP-03. I'll see you in the next video.